Hello everyone, welcome to the Haunted House. My name is Ghost, and welcome back to another episode of History with a Ghost. America is a beacon of freedom and democracy and equality, but at times that beacon has been very dim, including right now. From the American Civil War and slavery that Trump is trying to censor, to more recent stuff like the unjust deportations with the recent administration and other unjust things the administration has done. And in these unjust times, there have been people that have stood up and fought back against these injustices. People like MLK and Malcolm X to just your average Joe. They fought to bring back that beacon. Today we are talking about one of those people. Today we are talking about Harvey Milk, the first openly gay man to be elected to public office in California, and how he made America a brighter place for so many people for the short time he was around. The Trump administration about 2 months ago removed Harvey's name from a US ship, so I wanted to give the ultimate middle finger and talk about him. Harvey was born the 22nd of May 1930 and raised in Woodmere, New York. He graduated from the Bayshore High School in 1947, then attended the University of New York in Albany, majoring in mathematics. After graduating, he would serve in the Navy for 4 years during the Korean War as a lieutenant and diving officer and instructor on board the USS Kitty Lake before being uttered and honorably discharged from the Navy for his homosexuality. This man literally served his country in the Navy and was just discharged just because he was gay, and they want to remove his name from a ship. And it's not even a crazy ship or anything. It's just a support oil rig for the Navy. It's insane. Um, After he left the Navy, his life was kind of up in the air. He was changing jobs a lot and was in multiple relationships throughout the years. He was moving around the country a lot until he moved to San Francisco and opened up a camera store. Throughout this time, Harvey became increasingly more interested in politics. Stuff came to a boiling point when a state bureaucrat, entered Harvey's shop and said he had to pay $100 in tax. Harvey was enraged and got into a fight with the man. He complained for weeks to local officers before it was reduced to $30. Another time, his friends had to restrain him from kicking the TV while watching a Watergate hearing. He'd had enough and decided to run for city supervisor. His first campaign he lost, as well as his second campaign, where he ran for the combined city and county supervisor, coming in seventh place in the election, only one away from getting a seat. It was not long after these runs, a man by the name of George Moscone would be elected mayor of San Francisco. George and Harvey were friends and close allies. George had visited Harvey's second election headquarters and supported him. In 1976, George appointed Harvey to the Board of Permit Appeals, which is basically the body that makes the final decisions on things, that overturns stuff and things like that. Basically, if there's like a law they don't like, they can tweak it or completely get rid of it, from what I could find. This decision from George also made Harvey the first gay commissioner. While a part of the Board of Appeals, Harvey decided to run for the state assembly. He ended up losing the race for that as well. Because he ran for the state assembly while a part of the Board of Appeals, George Moscone was forced to fire Harvey. He would then go on to work with George to pass a amendment that would replace at-large elections for the Board of Supervisors for district elections. It would pass. He ran again for the third time in 1977 for city and county supervisor and won. He was inaugurated on January 9th, 1978. Harvey was big on reform during this time. The time he was in office. He sponsored a bill that passed banning discrimination based on sexual orientation in public accommodations like housing and employment. He also led a campaign against a thing called Proposition 6, a bill that would ban gay and lesbian teachers. He also did a bunch of other stuff, but if we talked about it all, we'd be here forever. Um, he changed so much in San Francisco for the better in just 11 months. But sadly, it came to an end on November 27th, 1978. A disgruntled former city supervisor, Dan White, sneaked into City Hall through a basement window, avoiding the metal detectors at the official entrances. He went to George Moscone's office and talked to him for a couple seconds before pulling out a Smith & Wesson Model 36 revolver, shooting and killing him. He walked down the hall to Harvey's office, talked to him for a couple seconds as well, before killing him as well. He left City Hall and turned himself into a nearby police station. George and Harvey were not long after found. Dianne Feinstein, a member of the board at the time who would end up being the 38th mayor of San Francisco and a senator, announced not long after the assassination and death of the two. The people of San Francisco responded rather peacefully by doing a candle vigil at City Hall and peaceful protests honoring Harvey. That was until later on. Going back to Dan Wyatt, he was charged with 2 counts of murder, and his trial began. Which I gotta say, his trial is insane. The defense they came up with is ridiculous. It's worse than Aaron Patterson saying that the mushrooms just ended up in the beef Wellington, or Trump saying that he was a FBI informant on Epstein. The defense for Daniel was that he couldn't be found guilty of murder because of his depression, that was evidence of his consumption of junk food, mainly Twinkies. Like, what do you say to that? That is the craziest thing I've heard. And funny thing is, it worked. His charges of murder were dropped to voluntary manslaughter, which is crazy. That judge should have been fired, but anyway. People were mad for obvious reasons, and this led to what would be remembered as the White Night riots. Thousands of dollars in property damage, and a bunch of officers and rioters were injured. The police responded by raiding a gay bar in the Castro district, beating up patrons and arresting others. The now mayor of San Francisco, Dianne Feinstein, appointed a pro-gay police chief, easing tensions, and slowly things kind of went back to normal. And that's really the whole story of Harvey Milk. A statue of Harvey was revealed in San Francisco City Hall in 2008, and in 2009, he was posthumously awarded the Medal of Freedom, as well as the ship that was named after him that was just changed again. I don't really know how to end this video, so I'm going to end it by repeating one of Harvey's quotes. Harvey knew the risk of being in public office, especially as a gay man, saying, quote, "If a bullet should enter my brain, let that bullet destroy every closet door." I don't know if it's just me, but that's an amazing quote and just shows you the type of man he was. If you liked the video, please give it a like and a follow, and I'll see you next time. Bye.